Angels are singing redemption's sweet song. Wonderful theme, glorious theme. Shout the glad tidings message and join in the throng, singing redemption song. Sing the sweet story, redemption sweet song. Over and over the chorus prolong. Shout the glad message and join with the throng. Ever. Hold on a minute. Evening, Don. Hey, love. Hey, love. Good evening, mother.
Yeah.
Where is Amos's shirt?
In the washing machine.
Do you smell a smell of like natural gas or propane? Hey, Angie. The minute I walked out here, I started smelling gas, and it's. We don't have natural gas. We don't have gas to the house. And as far as I know, we don't have any propane cylinders with gas around here. And it kind of smells like natural gas rather than propane anyway.
Ezra, can you come here?
There it is again. He's tagging.
That's natural gas. That's how it smells.
It's like a smell of there's a smell of gas. Now it could be that's an awful powerful smell for something we don't have around here. And the fact that I don't know if the neighbors have gas or not. Somebody you better share to the group there, Ezra.
After that, there's come here too.
Hi, Pat. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Teresa, hello. And the fact that they were working on that pipeline just west of here this summer, because if it's not, we better be calling somebody about this smell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Maureen.
I know I.
But if you smell it, I smell it, and if the kids smell it, we better be calling somebody.
Yeah.
We better be calling our neighbors and seeing if they smell it. Hey, Debbie. Hey, Ted and Sheila. Hello. I like that. Nice save, Ted and Sheila. Teresa says hi, Amy.
Hi.
Do you smell gas?
Like natural gas.
I don't know. Apparently, they're gonna rotten egg in the garage. And
This is not rotten egg. Especially since how the wind is out to the west.
Yeah. Do you?
That's what I'm wondering. No, it's not coming to wildfires. This is coming from the west. The pipeline's to the west of us.
Yeah. Do you want me to drive over to Jim's?
You better check. I'd probably check Jim, and I'd probably check. What's her name over there?
You, I want to come look. If it say re-expiring natural gas.
You better check and find out and see if they smelling it too. And if it's just me, then it's just me. But if not, we better be calling. Good evening, Sam. Well, see, that's the whole thing, Debbie. We don't have gas at this place. None. The nearest, I don't even know where the nearest pig farm is. We have a cow lot about roughly about 7 miles from here. And there is a pipeline, and I think it's a natural gas pipeline that runs through our neighbor's property that they were replacing this year. He's back, guys. Watch him. She's back. No, this isn't gasoline, Sam. It's different.
Hey,
I mean, I know what gasoline, I know what diesel smells like, and this is like a natural gas smell to me. And yes, pigs and dairy do not smell like natural gas. They do not smell like propane. Propane would be close to a rotten egg, but that's not close. I know rotten eggs.
can you please call? Can you?
We don't. That's the whole thing. Our entire house is electric. There's no gas, anything out here. And it's definitely not a skunk, that's for sure. Ooh, yes. That would not have been a nice one.
Yeah, what is that?
If the two oldest boys are home, I'd send them over, but they're out and about right now, so. I just don't want there to be an explosion in the middle of the night. Rattles the entire house off its foundation. Hello, Rowan and Addie. Ted and Sheila have a propane fireplace. We have a natural wood fireplace. You almost said you thought I was going to say natural gas. No, we have a wood fireplace. No, that's natural gas. I'm sure of it. We used to have and I don't know where now we put it, but there was a brochure that we got. We get it every year with numbers to call if we suspect of a gas leak. The hummingbirds are kind of not happy with Mr. Kitty over there. She didn't like the fact that he's buzzing or that he's over there. Mother says, never find those numbers when you need. That's absolutely the case. But I do have the number for the natural disaster emergency. And I could call the cops. I mean, I'm pretty sure the sheriff would be able to make the correct connections. Me too. I don't think that this is, I mean, as powerful as this smell is, I do not think it's somebody's gas barrel. Amy, call O'Shea and see if he has Terry's number and have him call Terry and see if Terry's smelling it.
Okay.
It comes from the cows. That's definitely natural gas.
That's methane. That's not natural gas. Not the same type of natural gas. Fire department would, well, since we're dealing with the possibility, since we're out here by the pipeline, that's a different one. Hey, Sue Ross, good evening. Mary just recently had the gas company come out to check her gas. They add something that smells like rotten eggs to make people aware. Oh, yeah, he's down in the valley. You'd have to look either to see if Amos or possibly Ron or Becky. I don't know if you can get a hold of either one of those. Yes, natural gas has no natural odor. It actually has to, or they have to add this to it. Well, Alicia, are you on tech? Do so.
Why did you have one?
I'm sorry, the person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been.
You should have. Mom should have Jim's number.
Yes, should. But the reason I was looking to see if they had Terry, because Terry's usually home. Jim has been kind of, I think, spending some time in town.
I think he was home today.
Well, he's during the day, yes,
Yeah.
but evenings he's been going into town.
Yeah, he lives in town, but except for his spring.
All right. No, don't do that because there's a whole bunch of all sorts of things, sticky situations that can come into. We're getting there. You see, I don't want to just simply call and it not be there, you know, and then I can become the crazy old coot that doesn't have a working sniffer. Yes, I believe that at least one of our neighbors uses gas, and like I say, we have the gas line on our next door. You know, our next door neighbor to the west. There's nobody that lives there, but the pipeline goes to the very west corner of his land and goes northeast across the field north of us, and they've just replaced those pipes this year. So if that's and the crazy thing is it's kind of dissipated already, gone now. It was strong enough. I don't think it was a barrel. It would have to have been a major leak of something stronger than that. So, well, the biggest thing, Mary, is we don't have natural gas up here for because we're out in the boondocks. As in, we don't have people hooked up to a natural gas line. Out here, you are hooked up to propane. Yes, there's a natural gas line that runs behind our property, but it's not for consumer use. It goes to some distribution center, some town, probably from Exira up to Bayard or something like that. Anyway, from one town to another, and it's not for use out here in the country. So hello, Reba. Good evening. Good evening, Kathleen. That's because I muted the mic.
Oh man.
That's why you're going with him, Duff. And yeah, probably the reason the smell kind of went away from me is that the wind died down. Speaking of which, you see the hummingbird? All right. Amy's going to go check something out, and then going to call if they still smell it out the backside of the house, back in the yard. And meanwhile, let's go ahead and get reading. If she smells it still out there, then they're going to go ahead and call 911. So, meanwhile, Alicia is going to pop up the reading. We're going to be reading 2 Samuel. What is it, 14 through 19? Huh? (15 through 19)? 15 through 19. All right. Debbie's got it for me as well. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's do the shuffle. We don't want to spark any sparks, so we're not going to do any trotting. We're not going to do any twisting, and we're definitely not going to do any leaping. Let's do a shuffle. Of course, that brings its own little thing, because we might be generating some static electricity. Hee. Eek. I got you on the prayer list, Sam. All right, Alicia, we're ready. Make sure we're in the right version, and let's. Hey, yeah, I forgot I did actually restart the computer a couple of times today. A little bit bigger. You didn't need to do that. It was fine the way it was. Oh well, let's go. And after this, it happened that Absalom provided himself with chariots and horses and 50 men. Thank you, to run before him. Now Absalom would rise early and stand beside the way to the gate. So it was whenever anyone had a lawsuit came to the king for a decision, that Absalom would call to him and say, "What city are you from?" And he would say, "Your servant is from such and such a tribe of Israel." Then Absalom would say to him, "Look, your case is good and right, but there is no deputy of the king to hear you." Moreover, Absalom would say, "Oh, that I were made a judge in the land, and that everyone who has any suit or cause would come to me, then I would give him justice." And so it was, whenever anyone came near to bow down to him, that he would put out his hand and take him and kiss him. In this manner Absalom acted toward all Israel who came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. Now it came to pass after 40 years that Absalom said to the king, "Please let me go to Hebron and pay the vow which I made to the Lord. For your servant took a vow while I dwelt in Geshur in Syria, saying, 'If the Lord indeed brings me back to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord.'" And the king said to him, "Go in peace." So he arose and went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, "As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, 'Absalom reigns in Hebron.'" And with Absalom went 200 men invited from Jerusalem, and they went along innocently and did not know anything. Then Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city, from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy grew strong, for the people with Absalom continually increased in number. 13. Now a messenger came to David, saying, "The hearts of the men of Israel are with Absalom." So David said to all his servants who were with him at Jerusalem, "Arise, and let us flee, or we shall not escape from Absalom. Make haste to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring disaster upon us, and strike the city with the edge of the sword." And the king's servants said to the king, "We are your servants, ready to do whatever my lord the king commands." So the king went out with all his household after him, but the king left 10 women, concubines, to keep the house. 17. And the king went out with all the people after him and stopped at the outskirts. Then all his servants passed before him, and all the Kerethites, all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men who followed him from Gath, passed before the king. Then the king said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why are you also going with us? Return and remain with the king. For you are a foreigner and also an exile from your own place. In fact, you came only yesterday. Should I make you wander up and down with us today, since I know not where? Return and take your brethren back. Mercy and truth be with you. But Taitai answered the king and said, As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, surely in whatever place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also your servant will be. So David said to Ittai, Go and cross over. Then Ittai the Gittite and all his men and all the little ones who were with him crossed over. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and the king and all the people crossed over. The king himself also crossed over the brook Kidron, and all the people crossed over toward the way of the wilderness. There was Zadok also, and all the Levites with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of the Lord of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up until all the people had finished crossing over from the city. Then the king said to Zadok, Carry the ark of God back into the city. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and show me both it and his dwelling place. But if he says thus, I have no delight in you, here I am. Let him do to me as seems good to him. The king also said to Zadok the priest, Are you not a seer? Return to the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz, your son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will wait in the plains of the wilderness until the word comes from you to inform me. Therefore, Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. So David went up by the ascent of the Mount of Olives, and wept as he went up. And he had his head covered, and went barefoot. And all the people who were with him covered their heads, and went up weeping as they went up. And then someone told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Now it happened when David had come to the top of the mountain, there where he worshipped. May I finish the verse, please? Thank you. Where he worshipped God, there was Hushai the Archite coming to meet him with his robe torn and dust on his head. David said to him, If you go on with me, then you will become a burden to me. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, Come here, bud. Sit. Sit. Nope. Good boy. Okay. Hold on a minute, guys. All right, Alessia, back to work. But if you return to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king, as I was your father's servant previously, so I will now also be your servant. Then you may defeat the counsel of Ahithophel for me. And you do not have... and do you not have Zadok and Abiathar the priests with you there? Therefore it will be that whatever you hear from the king's house, you shall tell Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Indeed, they have with them their 2 sons. Let me just do that. Indeed, they have there with them their 2 sons, Ahimaaz Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's sons, and by them you shall send me everything you hear. So Hushai, David's friend, went into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. 2 Samuel chapter 16. When David was a little past the top of the mountain, there was Ziba of the tribe of Mephibosheth, or the servant of Mephibosheth, who met him with a couple of saddled donkeys, and on them 200 loaves of bread, 100 clusters of raisins, 100 summer fruits, and a skin of wine. And the king said to Ziba, "Why, what do you mean to do with these?" So Ziba said, "The donkeys are for the king's household to ride on. The bread and the summer fruit are for the young men to eat, and the wine are for those who faint in the wilderness to drink." Then the king said, "And where is your master's son?" And Ziba said to the king, "Indeed, he is staying in Jerusalem. For he said, 'Today the house of Israel will restore the kingdom of my father to me.'" So the king said to Ziba, "Here all that belongs to Mephibosheth is yours." And Ziba said, "I humbly bow before you, that I may find favor in your sight, O Lord my king, or my lord, O king." Now, when King David came to Bahurim, there was a man from the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. Coming from there, he came out cursing continuously as he came, and he threw stones at David and all the servants of David, and the peoples, and all the people of and all the mighty men that were on and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. Also Shimei said when he cursed, come out, you bloodthirsty man, you rogue. The Lord the Lord has brought upon you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you have reigned. And the Lord has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom, your son. So now you are caught in your own evil, because you are a bloodthirsty man. Then Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, said to the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord, the king? Please let me go over and take off his head. The king said, what have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord has said to him, curse David. Who then shall say, why have you done so? And David said to Abishai and all his servants, see how my son, who came from my own body, seeks my life. How much more may this Benjamite? Let him alone and let him curse, for so the Lord has ordered him. It may be that the Lord will look on my affliction, and that the Lord will repay me with good for his cursing this day. And as David and his men went along the road, Shimei went along the hillside opposite him and cursed as he went, threw stones at him and kicked up dust. Now the king and all the people who were with him became weary, so they refreshed themselves there. 15 up, please. Meanwhile, Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel was with him. And so it was, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, came to Absalom, that Hushai said to Absalom, long live the king! Long live the king! So Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your loyalty to your friend? Why did you not go with your friend? And Hushai said to Absalom, No, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his I will be, and with him I will remain. Furthermore, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son, as I have served in your father's presence? So will I be in your presence. Then Absalom said to Ahithophel, Give advice as to what we should do. And Ahithophel said to Absalom, Go in to your father's concubines, whom he has left to keep the house, and all Israel will hear that you are abhorred of your father. Then the hands of all who are with you will be strong. So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the top of the house, and Absalom went in to his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. Now the advice of Ahithophel, which he gave in those days, was as if one had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the advice of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. 2 Samuel chapter 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said to Absalom, Now let me choose 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue David tonight. I will come upon him while he is weary and weak, and make him afraid, and all the people who are with him will flee, and I will strike only the king. Then I will bring back all the people to you, who, when all return except the man whom you seek, all the people will be at peace. And the saying pleased Absalom and all the elders of Israel. Then Absalom said, Now let's call Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear what he says too. And when Hushai came to Absalom, Absalom spoke to him, saying, Ahithophel has spoken in this manner. Shall we do as he says? If not, speak up. So Hushai said to Absalom, The advice that Ahithophel has given is not good at this time. For, said Hushai, you know your father and his men, that they are mighty men, and they are enraged in their minds, and like a bear robbed of her cubs in the field. And your father is a man of war, and will not camp with the people. Surely by now he is hidden in some pit or in some other place. And it will be, when some of them are overthrown at the first, that whoever hears it will say, There is slaughter among the people who follow Absalom. And even he who is valiant, whose heart is like the heart of a lion, will melt completely, for all Israel knows that your father is a mighty man, and those who are with him are valiant men. Therefore I advise that all Israel be fully gathered to you, from Dan to Beersheba, like the sand that is by the sea, for multitude, and that you go to battle in person. So we will come upon him in some place where he may be found, and we will fall on him as the dew falls on the ground. And of him and all the men who are with him there shall not be left so much as one. Moreover, if he has withdrawn into a city, then all Israel shall bring ropes to that city, and we will pull it into the river, until there is not one small stone found there. So Absalom and all the men of Israel said, The advice of Hushai the Archite is better than the advice of Ahithophel. For the Lord had purpose to defeat the good advice of Ahithophel through the intent that the Lord might bring disaster on Absalom. Then Hushai said to Zadok and Abiathar the priest, Thus and so Ahithophel advised Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus and so have I have advised. Now, therefore, send quickly and tell David, saying, Do not spend this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily cross over, lest the king and all the people who are with him be swallowed up. Now, Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed in Enrogel, for they dared not be seen coming into the city. So a female servant would come and tell them, and they would go and tell King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But both of them went away quickly and came to a man's house in Bahurim, who had a well in his court, and they went down into it. Then the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth and spread the ground grain on it, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman at the house, they said, "Where are Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" So the woman said to them, "They have gone over the water brook." And when they had searched and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. Now it came to pass, after they had departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said to David, "Arise and cross over the water quickly, for thus has Ahithophel advised against you." So David and all the people who were with him rose and crossed over the Jordan by morning light. Not one of them was left who had not gone over the Jordan. Now, when Ahithophel saw that his advice was not followed, he saddled a donkey and arose and went home to his house, to his city. Then he put his household in order and hanged himself and died. And he was buried in his father's tomb. Then David went to Mahanaim, and Absalom crossed over the Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the army instead of Joab. This Amasa was the son of a man whose name was Jisra, an Israelite who had gone in to Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister of Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom encamped in the land of Gilead. Now it happened when David had come to Mahanaim that Shobai, the son of Nahash from Rabbah, of the people of Ammon, Machir, the son of Amiel from Lo Debar, and Barzillai the Gileadite from Rogelim, brought beds and basins, earthen vessels, and wheat, barley and flour, parched grain and beans, lentils and parched seeds, honey and curds, sheep and cheese of the herd for David and the people who were with him to eat. For, they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. 2 Samuel chapter 18. And David numbered the people who were with him, and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And then David sent out 1/3 of the people under the hand of Joab, 1/3 under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and 1/3 under the hand of Ittai, the Gittite. And the king said to the people, And the king said to the people, I also will surely go out with you myself. But the people answered, You shall not go out, for if we flee away, they will not care about us. Nor if half of us die, will they care about us. But you are worth 10,000 of us now, for you are now more help to us in the city. Then the king said to them, Whatever seems best to you, I will do. So the king stood beside the gate, and all the people went out by hundreds and by thousands. Now the king had commanded Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, saying, Deal gently, for my sake, with the young man Absalom. All the people heard when the king gave all the captains orders concerning Absalom. So the people went out into the field of battle against Israel, and the battle was in the woods of Ephraim. The people of Israel were overthrown there before the servants of David, and a great slaughter of 20,000 took place there that day. For the battle there was scattered over the face of the whole countryside, and the woods devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. Then Absalom met the servants of David, Absalom rode on a mule. The mule went under the thick boughs of a great terebinth tree, and his head caught in the terebinth, so he was left hanging there, or hanging between heaven and earth. And the mule, which was under him, went on. Now a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, I just saw Absalom hanging in a terebinth tree. So Joab said to the man who told him, You just saw him. Why did you not strike him there to the ground? I would have given you 10 shekels of silver and a belt. But the man said to Joab, Though I were to receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, I would not raise my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king commanded you and Abishai and Ittai, saying, Beware lest any one touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I would have dealt falsely against my own life, for there is nothing hidden from the king, and you yourself would have set yourself against me. Then Joab said, I cannot linger with you. And he took 3 spears in his hand and thrust them through Absalom's heart while he was still alive in the midst of the terebinth tree. And 10 young men who bore Joab's armor surrounded Absalom and struck and killed him. So Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a large pit in the woods, and laid a very large heap of stones over him. Then all Israel fled, everyone to his tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and set up a pillar for himself, which is in the king's valley, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. He called the pillar after his own name, and to this day it is called Absalom's monument. Then Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said, Let me run now and take the news to the king, how the Lord has avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said to him, You shall not take the news this day, for you shall take the news another day. But today you shall take no news, because the king's son is dead. Then Joab said to the Cushite, Go, tell the king that what you have seen. So the Cushite bowed himself to Joab and ran. And Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, said again to Joab, But whatever happens, please let me also run after the Cushite. So Joab said, Why will you run, my son, since you have no news ready? But whatever happens, he said, let me run. So he said to him, Run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and outran the Cushite. Now David was sitting between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate, to the wall, lifted his eyes and looked, and there was a man running alone. And the watchman cried out and told the king, and the king said, If he is alone, there is news in his mouth. And he came rapidly and drew near. Then the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called to the gatekeeper and said, There's another man running alone. And the king said, He also brings news. Then the watchman said, I think the running of the first is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, He is a good man and comes with good news. So Ahimaaz called out and said to the king, All is well. And he bowed down with his face to the earth before the king and said, Blessed be the Lord your God, who has delivered up the men who raised up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, Is the young man Absalom safe? Ahimaaz answered, When Joab sent the king's servant and me, your servant, I saw a great tumult, but I did not know what it was about. The king said, Turn aside and stand here. So he turned aside and stood still. Just then the Cushite came, and the Cushite said, It is good news, my lord the king, For the Lord has avenged you this day of all those who rose up against you. And the king said to the Cushite, Is the young man Absalom safe? So the Cushite answered, May the enemies of my lord the king, and all who rise against you to do harm, be like that young man. Then the king was deeply moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, he said thus, Oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I had died in your place. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. 2 Samuel chapter 19. And Joab was told, Behold, the king is weeping and mourning for Absalom. So the victory that day was turned into mourning for all the people. For the people heard it said that day, The king is grieved over his son. And the people stole back into the city that day as people who were ashamed steal away when they feel in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried out with a loud voice, Oh, my son Absalom! Oh, Absalom, my son! My son! Then Joab came into the house to the king and said, Today you have disgraced all your servants, who today have saved your life, the lives of your sons and your daughters, the lives of your wives and the lives of your concubines, in that you love your enemies and hate your friends. For you have declared today that you regard neither princes nor servants. For today I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all of us died, then it would have pleased you well. Now therefore arise, go out and speak comfort to your servants. For I swear by the Lord, if you do not go out, not one will stay with you this night, and that will be worse for you than all the evil that has befallen you from your youth till now. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told all the people, saying, There is the king, sitting in the gate. So all the people came before the king, for every one of Israel had fled to his tent. Now all the people were in dispute throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us from the hand of our enemies. He delivered us from the hand of the Philistines. And now he has fled from the land because of Absalom. But Absalom, whom he appointed over us, has died in the battle. Now therefore, why do you say nothing about bringing back the king? So King David sent to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak to the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to the house, to his house, since the words of all Israel have come to the king, to his very house? You are my brethren. You are my bone and my flesh. Why then are you the last to bring back the king? And say to Amasa, Are you not my bone and my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if you are not commander of the army before me continually, in the place of Joab. So he swayed the hearts of all the men of Judah, just as the heart of one man. So they sent this word to the king, Return, you and all your servants. Then the king returned and came to the Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to escort the king across the Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, the Benjamite, who was from Bahurim, hurried and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they went over the Jordan before the king. Then a ferry boat went across to carry the key over the king's household and to do what he thought good. Now Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king when he had crossed the Jordan. Then he said to the king, Do not let my lord impute iniquity to me, or remember what wrong your servant did on the day that my lord the king left Jerusalem, that the king should take it to heart. For I, your servant, know that I have sinned. Therefore here I am, the first to come today of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet my lord the king. But Abishai, the king, son of Zeruiah, answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should be adversaries to me today? Shall any man be put to death today in Israel? For do I not know that today I am king in Israel? King over Israel? Therefore, the king said to Shimei, You shall not die. And the king swore to him. Now, Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and he had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes from the day the king had departed until the day he returned in peace. So it was, when he had come to Jerusalem to meet the king, that the king said to him, Why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, My lord, the king, my lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I will saddle a donkey for myself, that I may ride on it and go to the king, because your servant is lame. And he has slandered your servant to my lord the king. But my lord the king is like the angel of God. Therefore, do what is good in your eyes. For all my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king, yet you set your servant among those who eat at your own table. Therefore, what right have I still to cry out any more to the king? So the king said to him, Why do you speak any more of your matters? I have said, you and Ziba divide the land. Then Mephibosheth said to the king, Rather, let him take it all, inasmuch as my lord the king has come back in peace to his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim, and went across the Jordan with the king to escort him across the Jordan. Now, Barzillai was a very aged man, 80 years old, and he had provided the king with supplies while he stayed at Mahanaim, for he was a very rich man. And the king said to Barzillai, Come across with me, and I will provide for you while you are with me in Jerusalem. But Barzillai said to the king, How long have I to live that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am today 80 years old. Can I discern between the good and bad? Can your servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any longer the voice of singing men and singing women? Why then should your servant be a further burden to my lord the king? Your servant will go a little way across the Jordan with the king, and why should the king repay me with such a reward? Please let your servant turn back again, that I may die in my own city near the grave of my father and mother. But here is your servant Kimham. Let him cross over with my lord the king, and do for him what seems good to you. And the king answered, I'd like to, finish that. And the king answered, Kimham shall cross over with me, and I will do for him what seems good to you. Now, whatever you request of me, I will do for you. Then all the people went over the Jordan, and when the king had crossed over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned to his own place. Now the king went on to Gilgal, and Kimham went on with him, and all the people of Judah escorted the king, and also half the people of Israel. Just then all the men of Israel came to the king and said to the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen you away and brought the king, his household, and all David's men with him across the Jordan? So all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is a close relative of ours. Why then are you angry over this matter? Have we ever eaten at the king's expense? Or has he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, We have 10 shares in the king, therefore we also have more right to David than you. Why then do you despise us? Were we not the first to advise bringing back our king? Yet the words of the men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. 2 Samuel, chapters 15 through 19. Hello to Susan, and hello to Sister Love. I see you come in a little bit late, and we're glad to have you. Shea has now taken the place of Ezra on tech. And Sister Susan, we pray that you might have a peaceful night's rest and a refreshing night one at that. What is it? With that high of a turnover, they got to do something with the leadership of the place. Yay. O'Shea, you coming in? He's getting around. Give him a minute.
It takes a moment.
You're welcome. Let me see what's going on. I'll give you an update in a minute. I'll call Amy over here and see what's going on while O'Shea gets his prayer list and everything.
Hi, y'all. I'm back.
David's not turning.
Grandma, you would be very correct in that.
David Cowley.
It was 90 degrees out there and 95 where I was working.
Well, when I got done with bus route this afternoon, it was 88 at the school.
Mm-hmm.
I drove
was in
in.
full sun, so.
Huh?
I was in full sun, so.
Well, that was out in full sun too, but that was down at the school, and that was at noon.
They've decided that asphyxiation would be the best way to get rid of me.
Mm.
They turn the dryer on.
They turned the what?
Dryer on.
They turned the tire off.
Dryer on.
Oh, I see. Susan said I stopped taking glipizide for my diabetes because it keeps me running to the bathroom too much. All right. We will pray that your doctor finds you something better. Eek. Debbie says they're going to corral babies to bed, so we're going to go for now. I pray that you all will be safe, all right? Mother turned the air on. We need to. Ted and Sheila is thankful you didn't blow up during the reading. Well, that's the update is this. Amy corralled our neighbor who was out moving cows, and they didn't notice anything, so probably just me.
What was all the hubbub?
Well, when I came out here to do stream, I sat down, and it smelled like gas out here. I mean, I walked out the door, it smelled like gas.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad.
Amos had #1 oil on him, and he will.
It was not #1 oil. I know what the difference is. Yep. I know what the difference is.
It smelled
I
like
can
bad
smell
gas.
the #1 oil, and it's not that. I actually can smell that still.
Mm-hmm.
This one smelled like natural gas. So, yeah, Terry and his wife were moving cattle, and Amy caught them coming through the gate, so she hustled over there and talked with them, and they didn't notice anything. So, and they would have if they had, because they were out there.
Right.
But I'm just gonna keep monitoring, and if I smell it again, we're definitely gonna call. Sam says, O'Shea, you're a crybaby. It's always hot there. Yes, well, it's not here, Sam. That's the difference.
You'd be quaking in your boots if you came over here in the middle of January.
Well, that's right. You'd be crying too. Well, and then, really? Anyway, then, okay. So I went from the school, drove the 4 miles into town, and I parked across from the bank there at the pharmacy to get my medicine, and the bank's sign said it was 85.
Right.
3 minutes, a 3-degree difference between school and town. I believe there's a tree frog on the flag, on the other side of the flag out here.
Yeah.
Your Aunt Jenny's going on a vacation. Kathleen says, I'm gonna go. They keep having storms over there. Well, looks like something there.
Yeah, that's something.
What is it? Tree frog? Oh, bird poop. Better wash it off. Do we have a Dollar General nearby? Yes, we do. There's one in Guthrie Center, which is 7 miles from us. There's one in Adair, which is 15 miles from us. And there's one in Exira, which is about 15 miles from us. Sam says he welcomes the weather there. You can't welcome the weather here if you're over there. Says they have had gas leaks at 2 or 3 different ones in Ashe County. The thing is, as everybody, as I keep trying to tell people, okay, I hope you understand, we are out 7 miles from the nearest town. No one in the area, none of the farmers has natural gas.
They removed that line.
Huh?
They removed the line over there.
They removed the line?
Yeah.
They didn't replace it, they removed it.
Yeah, they removed it.
Oh, okay. So they removed the line. Well, that's interesting. Then I wonder where the natural gas is coming from. I hope they removed the signage for it too. Probably not.
Probably not.
They're probably going to replace it.
Yeah,
Nobody was using it.
they have natural gas storage underground caverns there in Springbrook.
Well, yeah, but we're not near Springbrook either.
I know, but there's a lot of natural gas there in the caverns in Springbrook.
Right, but it's not hooked up for farm use.
I know.
Farmers, if they have gas out here, have propane, and it is usually trucked in and stored in the gas barrels at their homes. So for us out here in the middle of nowhere to be smelling natural gas, that's a big concern. And I mean, it's a big concern, especially because we don't know where it's coming from. Hello, Cindy.
What I did know, but it's not like propane. But I smell like propane. Or around propane barrel.
So,
Of course, I don't smell it.
Yeah, I don't either. We don't have any propane barrels here. So, who knows? Or we have propane barrels, but they are empty and have been for years.
mm-hmm. Well, I've been outside in the garden several times and smelled propane good.
Or with something like that. So, anyway, so O'Shea, you got those?
So for prayers, we have Sam. Prayers for him. For Susan, that she can find something for her diabetes. Prayers for Jenny this fall as she prepares for vacation.
Not Westfall.
Well, Haracha.
Right.
Yes.
Ezra, did you take the back?
It was prayers for Jenny. Then prayers for Jenny Baker as she heals. And
Yeah.
prayers for all of us Westfalls who are sickies. That's what I got.
Right.
Okay. Any other prayers?
Don't know. Haven't had anybody else ask for any prayers. It's hyphenated. Certainly is.
Oh,
All right, I'm out.
Only 3 people have reacted to the video.
Yeah. And they liked it.
Yeah. So we got all these people in here, but they're just not hitting the like button or the love. They're not letting Facebook know that they like us.
Right. And then they wonder why they can't see the video
Mm-hmm.
notification. Or maybe we're not seeing
That
their
changed the
reaction. All right, I'm gonna see y'all on the other side. Go get ready for my next one. So
Okie dokie.
y'all stay faithful.
Love you.
Take care. God bless, and we'll see you then.
Oh, I just have to give y'all just a wee bit of grief. Okie dokie. Thank you all very much. Well, Reba, I certainly feel appreciated. Thank you. Right back at you, sister. So, y'all, if there are no other prayer requests, let's be going to God in prayer. Bow with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this day that we can come together to listen and read a portion of your word, to ingest it into our lives. Help us to take what we have read, to think and to meditate, and to let it run through our mind. Help us, Father, to use it. We thank you so much for it as a privilege that you left it for us, that you keep it for us, so that we can read it, to learn what you find pleasing. We come before you, Father, asking that you'd be with Sam, that you'd bless him with your wisdom and strength, your guidance. Help him to be the man you want him to be. Help him to walk down your path. Be with him. Bless him as he strives to work there in the Philippines. Help that he could proclaim your glad message to many hearts, and that many hearts would be open and receiving it. Bless him and bless those who come in contact with him. Be with Susan. Bless her. Be with her doctor. Help her to find something that helps control her diabetes, that works good and doesn't have any harmful side effects. Bless her that she could get her diabetes under control and that she'd be well. Be with Jenny as she and family prepare for a vacation. Bless them as they travel. Be with them. Bring them to their destination safely. Be with Jenny Baker as she's healing. Bless her that she would heal to a full recovery, that she'd be well. Help her, Father, to heal. Be with all of us Westfalls who are sick and sickies. Help us all to heal and to recover as well, to regain our normal portion of health. Help us to be ready and of good health to serve you. Be with each and every one of us here. Bless us all, Father, with your guidance and your health. Be with our loved ones, those that we care for and are concerned about. Be with each of them. Guide us through to the close of our day. Help us, Father, to remain strong in you. Give us that portion of your strength. We thank you so much for being such a wonderful God. We thank you and lift our praises unto you. We thank you for your many blessings, for the internet, that we can come together with each other, to lift each other up, to read your word. We thank you so much. We ask this in your name. In Jesus' name, amen. Sister T says, I send hearts because I love y'all. We love you as well, Sister T. She says, amen, thank you, love y'all, good night. You are very welcome, Sister T. Love you as well, you have a good night. I'm being steamed in here. As you can see, I am now very glossy. This little office builds up and maintains so much heat. Woo! Grandma says, thank you much. Good night. Take care and God bless. You're very welcome, Grandma. Right back at you. Maureen says, thank you. And she even adds nice goat. Yeah, Sister T, I'm with you. I need a fan. It's on the floor over here. Just never got around to plugging it in. So, Ted and Sheila says, good night. Good reading and singing. You have a wonderful night, Ted and Sheila. It's been good to see you. Susan Stanley says, thank you. You're very welcome, Susan. You get to feeling better. Reba says, thank you for the prayers, O'Shea. I hope y'all have a blessed night. Love y'all. You are very welcome there, Reba. Hope you have a wonderfully blessed night and love you. Sam says, thank you for taking some time for us all. You're very welcome, Sam. Thank you for being here. Steve says, well, no wonder you're hot. LOL. Yeah. We see normally it says right up here where it can be turned on and worked with. But I was in such a rush to get in here and I didn't know or think about the fact that they had removed the fan to the floor in the farthest away location from me. So they all made me suffer. Well, y'all, thank you for being here. For reading, for singing, for praying. Till we meet again, God bless you all. Love ya. Bye-bye. Toodles.